Welcome to Ecstatic Yoga. I'm Grace. So happy to be practicing with you today. Our beautiful floor practice with some hip opening. And we'll be using that Ujjaya breath again as anchor through all our practices this week. This is our breath mindfulness focus of the week. And just to review the Ujjaya breath, we're breathing and we're engaging this glottis muscle in the throat. And the best way to do that is to imagine with your hand you're fogging up a mirror and then closing the mouth and having the same action. You can hear that sound. It's also called ocean breath because it's such a soothing, beautiful sound. And it's a really nice anchor for the mind because it's soothing, and it's not only the breath, but it's also the sound we're anchoring in. So it gives us a few more things to anchor in on to keep that, practice that mindfulness meditation as we gradually over time quiet that mind, slow it down, bring our mind to more present, and teach it new neural pathways of silence and stillness. And this week we have mindfulness communication, and I wanted to go over the acronym THINK. It's in the lesson, just to bring it back into your awareness. I love this acronym. It is so powerful in communication. So it's think before you speak, and you ask yourself, the T in think, is it true? Is what I'm going to say true? H is it helpful? And then the I is it inspiring? And you can ask yourself, and this is the big one for me, it usually just cancels out a lot of what I want to spit out of my mouth in communication. Is it necessary? And then the K, is it kind? And if it doesn't pass all of those, is it true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind, then it may not need to be said. And it's just a good little acronym rule you can use for mindful communication. So you're really aware of the energy you're putting out, the words you're putting out, the effect on yourself and others as we are mindful of our communication and that effects of our communication. So let's begin the practice. We're going to start in child's pose. And we're going to go through our centering and our intention in child's pose. So you can open those knees up a little bit, and so that the belly can rest in between the legs, and you can really relax in your child's pose. And taking a few breaths here in your child's pose, and the arms can be out in front of you. They can be on the side. You can make a little pillow for your hands if you'd like. And I'm going to come up just a little just so you can hear me. But if you can stay in your full child's pose, taking a moment now to check in. Check in with the physical body. Notice where your body's connected to the earth. Noticing any sensations in your body. Remembering as we move through this practice to honor your body. If you need to take a break, some water, always honor that. And also always backing off if you move into any kind of pain. And breathing into that belly. Deep abdominal breathing. Bringing your awareness down into that tailbone and the pelvic floor and that grounded space. Just that second chakra, the first and second chakra, as you breathe into that lower abdomen. And we trigger that parasympathetic nervous system and relaxation response so that all those health building hormones are surging through our body, mind, spirit, rather than the stress hormones. And continuing to breathe And taking this moment now to set an intention for yourself and seeing that fully manifest in present time in your mental rehearsal and adding those emotions to that. This is a practice in yoga, sometimes called japa, where we will see ourselves and create the thoughts, the conversations, the mental rehearsal of that which we wish to create more of in our life. And as we see it in detail, clarity, feeling the emotions, we trick the subconscious. It doesn't know the difference between something that's actually happening and something that we imagine with clarity and emotion. And the subconscious creates from what it believes is real. So taking a few moments in silence as you mentally rehearse and let all those beautiful, the emotional benefit just fill your being and your heart. And releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. And coming up into a table, just that foundation. So the knees are right under the hips now, and the wrists are right under the shoulder. Moving into some cat-cow. Inhaling into your cow as you arch the back, lift that tailbone, and then exhaling as you tuck the tailbone and round the back like a Halloween cat, looking in towards the legs, the belly. Inhaling into your extension of the front of the spine, and then exhaling into flexion at the front of that spine. Find your own pace, noticing the sensations, and let's bring that Ujjaya breath into the practice. You get into your child's pose and the back is rounded up. Bring those hips back a little bit and feel a nice stretch on the lower back. Keeping that Ujjaya breath flowing and beginning to make micro movements and moving into a nice little spontaneous flow, maybe some circles with the hips or just some subtle movement. Moving back and forth in your cat and your cow, adding any little movements that feel good for your body. You may even want to expand this flow, moving all the way from up dog, adding any little spontaneous movements here through your table and cat-cow to all the way into child's pose. And enjoying this flow, finding your movements that feel right for your body as you move back and forth in this gentle flow as we warm up the back, we warm up the body. And coming back to center. And we're going to take that left leg. Let's take the left leg and bring it forward. And you want to move that right knee back a little bit. We're going to move first into some lunge rocks, just warming up these hips a little bit. And as you lunge forward, bending that front knee and sinking those hips down towards the earth, maybe making some micro movements here. Breathing, remembering you can put a blanket under that knee as you gently open up and warm up these hips. And then you can straighten that front leg. Nice stretch on the back leg muscles of the left leg. You can flex and extend that left foot. And keeping in that Ujjaya breath rhythm. Noticing the sensations, basking in the nectar. Being fully present to all the sensations, your experience in your body, this body temple, this sacred divine presence that is animating in this physical temple. And coming back to center. Let's move into blaster first. So we're going to take this left hand and bring it on the inside. So both hands are at the inside of the left foot to bring that right knee back and sinking those hips down. And we'll just stay in this pose, holding this pose for a few breaths, noticing the sensation. I can feel it in both hips. It's a little different in each hip. Just notice it, that nice hip opener. Engaging the bandhas and bringing in that Ujjaya breath. One more breath here. Beautiful job. Let's come up to center. Bring that left hand back, the outside of the left foot. We're going to bend that left leg. We're going to move into our pigeon. So if you can get that leg parallel to the front of your mat, I'm not able to do that. Mine bends in a little bit. So the more parallel you can get, the better. And bring in your body, balancing your body in a nice pigeon pose. So here we are in upright pigeon, and noticing the sensation as you sink that right hip down towards the earth. You can feel a little in the left as well. Nice opening. Engage the bandhas and breathe. And on the next breath, we're going to come down and we're going to move into a nice forward folded pigeon. Find your forward fold. Maybe you're on your forearms. Maybe you're coming all the way down. And noticing the hip opening, but noticing it's a little different here. In this, when you move into the forward fold, I actually feel more hip opening on the left side when I move down. And breathe. Ujjaya breath. On your next inhale, coming all the way up. And we're going to bring that left leg back into table for just a moment. And let's bring that right leg between the hands. Nice low lunge, keeping the hands on the earth. You can bring that left knee back a little bit and moving into lunge rocks. Remembering you can put a blanket under that knee. And as you lunge forward, taking a moment to lunge forward and feel that left hip now sinking down towards the earth, opening up, stretching a little bit, and engage the bandhas and bring in the Ujjaya breath. Beautiful. And moving into your lunge rock, straightening that front leg, feeling a nice stretch the back of the extended leg, flexing and extending that front foot, and breathe as you move back and forth at your own pace, your own flow in our lunge rocks. And keeping that Ujjaya breath flowing, also keeping your awareness on all the sensations in the body, fully embodied, this sacred embodiment. We use our attention to focus on the sensations in the body to help bring ourselves into a deeper state of embodiment. So that attention to the body and the sensations, the movements, where we are and how we feel in the body, help to bring us into that sacred embodiment. Keep Ujjaya breaths. Nice, and And make some little micro movements, create some gentle sensations. Hi, baby. Hi, honey. Hi, little. And coming back to center, we'll take that right hand and bring that on the inside of the right foot. And I want to bring that knee back a little more. And finding your blaster pose, and you can use a block here if you like. And we're just sinking those hips down to your earth. And the option which I forgot to give you on the other side was that you can come down to your forearms if you want to deepen the pose, create more sensation. And breathe. Ujjaya breath. And on the next inhale, gently and kindly coming up, bringing that right hand back on the outside of the right leg, bending that right knee and bringing that leg in between the hands. And flex that foot if you want. And balancing the body. We don't want to be falling over onto either side. Balancing up and taking a few breaths as we really feel that nice stretch and opening in that left hip. Engage the bandhas and bring in the Ujjaya breath. And bring here, you can use some variations for your hands. You can be on your fists or teacup. And then if you'd like to, the invitation is a few more breaths, coming all the way down, folding forward in your pigeon and breathing. And on the next inhale, coming all the way up. And we're going to come up onto our knees. And we're going to move into a camel pose. Let's see if you can see. Okay, here. So we're into a camel pose. We're going to set up for the camel pose. The hips are right over the knees. Knees are hip width apart. So we're setting our foundation. Tops of the feet and the shins are connected to the earth. And we're going to tuck that tailbone under to open up these vertebrae. So when we go into the back bend, we don't crunch that lumbar spine. Bring in the hands on the small of the back, right by that lumbar spine. And the first thing, before we bend into our spine, let's lift the heart, gently lifting the head. We're going to keep the head in alignment with the spine. We're not going to drop the head. And after we've lifted the heart and the head, begin to move into the extension, the back bend of the spine. And keeping those hips right over the knees. And then, if you'd like to challenge yourself more, you can come down to your heels. You can come onto those toes. I'm going to do my toes. And once you are in your full pose, if you choose to go this far, moving those hips forward, that's where you get a lot of hip opening. right over those knees again. You can, in that direction, honoring your body, keeping that head in alignment with the spine. Engage those bandhas and bring in the Ujjaya breath. For camel, Ustrasana. One more breath. Beautiful job. And then coming up, bringing the hands to the small of the back. Coming up, and let's move right into a child's pose for a couple breaths, a little relaxation. Opening the knees, resting, using your Ujjaya breath still. And we invite a little samadhi break here. So bringing the awareness to the body. Annamaya kosha. We're learning about the koshas this week, the physical kosha. Bringing your awareness to that Ujjaya breath and the prana as you enter and notice your vital body, your subtle body, this non-physical, energetic pranamaya kosha. It's a part of what you are, this more eternal aspect of yourself. And diving into the heart, withdrawing your attention from the external world and all the external worries and fears, and diving deep into the heart, this inner sanctuary, noticing the emotional body, and without describing the emotions, titling them or labeling them, in the intellectual part of yourself, allowing yourself to feel them with no judgment. Whatever emotion arises, they're all the same. They simply are neutral. As we bask in the Manamaya kosha, and bringing your focus into concentration, all your awareness on that Ujjaya breath. And releasing that anchor, that focus of the Ujjaya breath, and allow yourself to maintain meditative awareness, pure conscious awareness, as you enter into that silent stillness, leaning towards that, reminding the mind that that exists within us. And as our mind is still and calm and quiet, then that reflection of the divine can shine perfectly into our hearts, minds, bodies, and souls. And we can enter into samadhi, moving from Vijnanamaya kosha, concentration and meditation, to Anandamaya, the bliss body. And taking a nice deep breath, coming into your table pose. And we're going to do a little three-legged dog hip opener. So we're going to curl those toes under, lift those hips, straighten the legs into your downward dog pose. And you can do a little walking the dog. Nice stretch on those calves. Look at that Ujjaya breath flowing. Very slight external rotation of the upper arms. Coming back to center. And we're going to kick that right leg out behind us in a three-legged dog. Bending that right knee. And then opening up the leg and the side body as you open up. Both arms strong. Keeping the weight balanced between both hands, both arms. And feel that nice hip opening on the right side. And bring in the Ujjaya for a few breaths. One more breath. And releasing at the very bottom of the exhale. We'll move to the other side, grounding your foot into the right foot, the energy and the weight, lifting and kicking that left leg back behind you. Balancing the weight on both hands and both arms, bending that left knee, opening up the left hip, and bring in the Ujjaya breath. One more breath. Releasing that leg down at the bottom of the exhale and coming down to the knees. And cross those legs and bring those legs out in front of you. And let's begin with the soles of the feet together, wrapping the hands around in our Baddha Konasana butterfly. And rock back and forth a little bit. Coming back to center, and let's move into flapping those butterfly wings. Beautiful job. Feeling the hips warming up and opening up. Keeping that Ujjaya breath flowing. Those bandhas gently engaged. And gently slowing down. And as you inhale, lengthening the spine. And then on your exhale, folding forward at the hips. We're not going to round the spine. We're just going to fold forward at the hip. This opens the hip. When you find your gentle edge, bring in that Ujjaya breath to breathe into your edge. Beautiful. See maybe if you can hinge for just a little bit more after those breaths as you rested on that edge. One more breath here. Beautiful job. And in the next inhale, coming up. Let's move into a single leg forward fold. My left leg is straight out. My right leg is, the sole of my right leg is resting on the inner thigh of my left leg. Inhaling, lengthening the spine, and exhale, hinging forward. Some people like to bring their arms up when they inhale, and that's okay. I just like to bring them back down on the hinge, the forward folding hinge. Protect that lower back. And find your gentle edge in the hip, is saying the back lug muscles are saying, that's good, that's enough. And bring in that Ujjaya. Bandhas are gently engaged. Seeing if you can hinge a little deeper in your hip and allowing the spine to round. You can flex and extend that foot and relaxing in this nice deep forward fold. Continuing the Ujjaya breath as your mindfulness focus. Allowing that spine to round as much as it needs to or wants to. Wherever you're at is perfect. And one more breath in your forward fold. On your next inhale, coming up, walking those hands back. And let's switch to the other side. My right leg is out. Left sole of the left foot is resting on the inner thigh of my right thigh. Inhaling as you lengthen and exhaling, hinge. And before you round the back, taking a nice deep breath in this hinge, resting on this edge. And seeing if you can deepen into the hinge a little more. And allowing the spine to round and relaxing into your forward fold. One more deep breath. Ujjaya breath. And on the next inhale, gently and kindly coming all the way up. And we're going to bring those legs in a nice wide stance. We're going to move into fire log. It's not everybody's favorite, but it's a really good hip opener. I'm going to take my right leg and I'm going to bend it so it is parallel with the long edge of your mat. You can flex the feet. And then I'm going to take this left leg and I'm going to line up the knees and the ankles. So my left ankle is right on top of my right knee, and the left knee is right above the right ankle. And flexing those feet, you're really going to feel it as you flex. You can take and put a block or a pillow in this open space. This is one pose I don't have a lot of flexibility in. Yeah, I need to do it more. And inhaling, lengthening the spine. And on the exhale, hinging forward a little bit. And you'll notice that your hips will tell you when you can stop. And let's keep the spine straight. We're not going to round the back. We'll feel more sensation. We'll get more benefit out of the pose if we just keep that spine straight and hinge. Engage the bandhas, and let's bring in that Ujjaya breath. One more breath here. Beautiful job. The next inhale, coming back up, and let's release the legs. And let's move to the other side. Bending that left leg in. And this left shin parallel to the front of your mat. Flex the feet. Bring that right ankle on top of the left knee. Right knee is lined up right over the left ankle. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. And exhaling, folding forward. Engaging those bandhas and move into Ujjaya breath. Noticing the opening of the hips. All the sensations. One more nice deep breath. Beautiful job. Inhaling, coming up to seated position, and let's release the legs. Let's bring them out in front of us and shake them a little, flop them around. It's a pretty intense hip opener, but we're going to move into one that is just as intense. But let's do our let's move into our squat malasana for a moment. The nice hip opener. So you may be up on the balls of the feet. If you can move down onto the heels, there we go. Without falling down, do that. We can bring the hands in between the legs, and the upper arms, the elbows are kind of resting on those legs. My hands and the palms of my hands are together. And if you push the arms out, you can feel a nice opening in the hips in this nice squat. So pushing those legs, I'm going to take those arms and I'm going to push them. Finding your edge, always playing that edge in a gentle way. A 7, a 6. We don't want to move into 8, 9, 10 and push and strive. We're not Olympic athletes, or maybe you are, but this isn't an Olympic sport. We're opening our bodies through allowing them to open gently by resting on our gentle edges rather than forcing, pushing, striving. Engaging those bandhas, especially that mula bandha, that pelvic floor, bringing a nice little lift, a slight engagement, and bringing in the Ujjaya breath. One more breath. Beautiful job. And bringing those hands forward, we're going to come onto the knees, and we're going to bring those knees open a little wider than the shoulders, a little wider than hip width. And then we're going to take the lower legs and we're going to bring them out even wider, so you can see them. And then where the real test is, we're in frog pose, Mandukhasana. And we're going to bring those hips back. So feeling those hips come back as you feel that really nice, somewhat intense hip opener, but we're going to rest on our edge, engage the bandhas, and bring in Ujjaya. One more breath in. Beautiful job. Coming forward, bringing those lower legs in, those knees in. And we are going to come down onto our backs. Let's before we come on our backs, let's sit and just take a moment to bring those legs back and forth. Pretty intense pose. Straighten them out, flop them a little, windshield wiper them. Beautiful. Let's bring those knees up. Let's move into a balancing bear. It's a nice little, opens up the hip a little bit. So we're going to be balancing on those sits bones and that sacrum. Feel that nice grounding, that foundation. And let's go one leg at a time. One heel's on the floor, and you take the other leg and move it around a little. Feel the stretch, opening, moving that hip joint a little bit. Maybe some gentle circles as you bring some lubrication in there, that joint moving. You got to use our joints and muscles in our body, or we lose that flexibility. And let's move to the other side. Opening it up. Maybe some gentle circles. Making sure to go both ways. Using that Ujjaya breath. And then if you like, you can bring both heels up and move into a balancing bear. Extending the spinal column, opening up those legs, feeling that nice hip opening. Engage the bandhas and bring in Ujjaya. One more breath. Releasing at the very bottom of the exhale. Let's scoot up to the front of your mat, and let's move into some spinal rocks. If you don't have a rug or a mat, or it's not a soft enough area, then just come onto your back. Stimulate your kidneys, those erector spinae muscles along your spinal column. And let's come to a nice supine position, laying on our back. Knees are up. And let's move into the supine pigeon, or the four. And this is a nice hip opener. So my right knee is up, right foot's on the earth, and I'm going to rest that left ankle on just above the right knee. I'm going to lift that right foot up, bring the right leg in towards the body, clasp my hands behind the right hamstring, and gently pull that right leg into the body. And I can use this left forearm and elbow to press that left leg out a little more for a little more hip opening sensation. Engage those bandhas and bring in Ujjaya. If you can go a little deeper. One more breath here. And releasing the leg and coming down. And switching legs, bringing that right ankle to rest just above the left knee, lifting that left leg up, clasping your hands behind the left hamstring, and gently pulling that left hamstring in towards your body. Using this right elbow to open up that right leg a little bit, and that right hip. Engage that Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and Jalandhara Bandha. And bring in that Ujjaya breath. And one more breath. And releasing the leg down. Beautiful job. We're going to move into a supine spinal twist, bringing the left leg out straight, coming up onto that left side just an inch, bringing the right knee over to the left. Left hand can guide that right leg over. And the right arms are out 90 degrees and turning the head to gaze out over the right fingertips. And breathe. Deep Ujjaya breaths. And releasing the leg, coming back to center, and move to the other side. The right leg comes out, coming up onto that right side, bending the left knee, Bringing the left knee over to the right. The right hand can guide that left knee. The left arm is out 90 degrees. Both shoulders are on the earth and turning the head to gaze out over those left fingertips. And breathe. And releasing that left leg. Coming back on your back. Knees are up. Feet are on the earth. Let's move into our releases. Let's move into some hula. And let's see what the time is. Oh yeah, let's move into some hula. Releasing that lower back, flat on your sacrum while the hips move up and down. My right hip is moving up while my left is moving down. And then swiveling, my right is moving down, my left is coming up. Noticing the sensations. You can add and transition into some hip pointers if that feels right. Pointing one hip at a time up towards the sky. A little cat-cow. And any last movement you want to make, whatever that might be, a pose, or maybe you want to continue with some releases, honoring the body, what it feels it needs to complete this practice for yourself before we move into Savasana. And finding your Savasana pose, nice and relaxed. You can open the legs up a little, the arms. I like to have my palms up so I'm receptive. And relaxing the body, every muscle, every bone, every organ, every cell, every molecule. Deeper and deeper relax. The body sinking in towards the earth. Releasing all tension, all holding. If you can release any muscular holding. Coming like a rag doll as you completely relax that anamaya kosha, the physical sheath, body. Taking a breath into the belly. And releasing into silence as you absorb and integrate this entire practice, mind, body, and spirit. And I will bring you back. Yes. Taking a nice deep breath into the belly. Beginning to come back into the body, feeling that earth underneath you, supporting you. Wiggling the fingers and the toes, stretching out the arms and the legs as you come back. Rolling over to one side or the other, mindfully, slowly, taking a breath on your side. And when you're ready, coming up to a seated position. And taking this time now to scan the inner being, the physical being, noticing and scanning how you feel physically, energetically, emotionally, spiritually. Simply noticing with no judgment, the neutral observer, practicing that equanimity. And bring yourself back to that intention you set. Moving into that mental rehearsal, feeling all those emotions, seeing the details, the colors, see yourself laughing, moving, whatever it is you wish to manifest, moving through the home of your dreams, holding hands with the partner of your dreams, in the career of your dreams. Seeing it now as if it's right here, feeling all that emotional benefit here now. And releasing that intention with the this or better, this or better, this or better. And we'll conclude this practice with a namaste. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, light, truth, and peace. When I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, we are one. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this ecstatic yoga hip opener practice. Wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day.